It's February. A friend just showed me a TikTok of a weather forecaster explaining that if you can make it through February, you will survive the year ahead. And I have to agree. I think a lot of us anticipate that if we could paint all the time, either because it's our job or because we're retired, that we would do it every day and that we would love every minute of it. But the truth is that I don't know any full-time painters who don't go through periods where they're burnt out of ideas, or just plain uninspired. And that's okay. Sometimes the best answer to that is to take a page out of Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, and to go on an artist date, which is to say, plan a date between yourself and your inner artist where you go out and do something that fills you with energy and with inspiration. Things like going to an art museum or going to an opening, or even just doing something completely not art related, but that gets your creative gears turning. And sometimes the best answer is to do a lower key version of that and simply rest so that we can recharge and get those creative energies back in a slower and gentler way. And sometimes still, we may have deadlines, or we need to do work to keep our skills sharp, even when we're out of ideas. I know a lot of painters who just submitted for the 2023 International Portrait Competition that's put on each year by the Portrait Society of America. I know painters who have been pulling 12-hour days for the past month, and painters who were up until the midnight deadline fighting to get a good photograph of their finished work for the submission. And after that kind of work, rest and recharging is essential. We don't need to constantly have new ideas or be at peak output. And for me, coming out of winter is just rough. I can power through November and December riding the momentum that I had from back when the days were longer and brighter. But by this time of year, I have got nothing in the tank. And I just need to make it through to when spring actually starts and I've got that energy back. So here are some things that I'm doing until then. Things that you can use for yourself, whether you too go through seasonal slow periods in your creativity, or you're just feeling tired or uninspired or burnt out for whatever reason. First things first, I am putting energy into other things that are fun and do give me inspiration. So I read books and watch shows and write and play music and dance. I talk with friends about their art, and I generally spend time in a way that gives me ideas, even if I'm not yet ready to act on them or they're still kind of crystallizing in my mind. One of the biggest things that I talk about with the artists that I mentor is the value of time that is spent not producing. So the value of thoughtfully thinking out a new composition or problem solving what's going to have to go into making that painting, or taking the time to actually get really good reference. Those are things that we often really rush ourselves through because we tend to believe that we're only being productive when we are at the easel, and that's simply not the case. The professional artists whose work you love, and I've talked to a lot of you, and so I know this is the case, they spend an unbelievable amount of time coming up with ideas, planning, problem solving, and doing all of the things that you might be tempted to feel as a waste of time. And the secret is that that is what sets them apart. They put that extra effort into thinking through all of these little details and going through the labor and the work to get that kind of reference. And so next time you're feeling down on yourself for just thinking of ideas, or maybe taking some photo reference, or even practicing setting up a still life that you'll never actually paint, I want you to pause and reconsider the value of those things and really give yourselves permission to stay there and lean into that time rather than feeling like you need to rush through it. So for myself, as I go through this period where I really, on the outside, it looks like I'm putting all this energy into things that aren't art, the truth is I am, and I need to give myself that space to do that, because I know that back when I get that rush of energy that I know I do in the spring, I am going to be prepared with all of these ideas, and I'm going to be prepared with a lot more than that, and I'll tell you about why right now. The second thing that I am doing right now is that I am taking classes. So I'm taking a course from Mildred Hankinson on portrait drawing in charcoal, where I'm learning to see and capture a likeness more accurately and more efficiently. There's something really nice about going back to charcoal, which takes the pressure off of trying to make some magnum opus in oil and simply working on more fundamental skills. I think a lot of us have the belief that once we're at a certain skill level in our work, we're not going to have to go back to those very foundational exercises. Like, I'm good in color, I don't need to go back and work on value studies. Or, I capture portraits really well, I don't need to work on my drawing skills. The truth is that to stay really sharp and to continue to reach new heights in our work, no matter where we're aiming for, going back and really sharpening up those foundational skills is essential. And I'll tell you a little secret right now. The exercises that you use to build up those foundations in the first place are the same exercises that you use to keep those skills and foundations sharp over time. So don't worry that you are missing some secret advanced exercise to create these master level paintings. Simply going back, thinking about your drawing, thinking about your value control, thinking about your composition in very simple ways pays off really disproportionately in your larger works, your original works. So I'm especially enjoying this class with Millie for a couple of reasons. One is that coming out of oil and simply focusing on these value studies and also working in charcoal, a medium that's a little bit more forgiving, this takes the pressure off in a really big way. I feel like I can really drill down to the core skill that I'm looking to build, which is in my brain. It's not my hand, it's not the control of the pencil, it's not anything physical. It's my ability to look at the subject I want to depict and really accurately and efficiently capture what makes that person that person. Right now, I'm excited to see how that's already paying off in the class, but on top of that, I'm really excited to see how this pays off when I'm focusing back in oil in a big way. And the other reason that this class is so enjoyable is that I am also taking this class with a friend. So we are spending time, dissecting the class afterward, talking about what we learned, doing homework together and helping each other to answer questions and solve problems. And that little social component, that bit of accountability, that has really gone a long way. And the third and final thing that I am doing right now to keep myself productive and keep my skills sharp, even though I'm in this little bit of a lull, is that I am working on painting exercises that aren't about coming up with complete original works. These are things like doing value studies, doing color charts, doing very simple color studies, or time-limited sketches, or master copies. And that's what I'm doing here. I am working on a master copy, which is incredibly helpful because I don't have to come up with an idea for this piece. I can simply find a portion or an entire master painting that I want to learn from. I can crop it in as needed to focus on the area that's interesting to me, and I can simply buckle down and work on my skills. I don't have to come up with an idea. I don't have to do a lot of prep work. I can simply pick my reference, make sure that I have an appropriately sized panel to work on, lay out my paint, and dive in. And I'll probably keep working on this master copy to refine my skills and learn new things over time. I'm taking the pressure off of trying to finish it in a certain amount of time or even to get it perfect, even for something like YouTube. So what you're seeing right here is the start of this master copy, and I might cut myself off when I'm feeling it become tedious or I feel my energy is too drained to continue, or my painting sessions haven't gotten productive. Or I could pause there and come back to it and keep working until I really extract all of the information out of the study that I'm really interested in learning. And I think that's underrated. Yes, there is absolutely value in working on a piece that's hard and pushing through until you have that breakthrough. But when you're already in the thick of it and you're tired or you're burnt out or you're struggling to stay motivated, that might not be the ideal time for that little extra push. For me right now, I would rather prioritize time that makes the studio rewarding and helps me to develop more consistency and give me back energy than potentially inadvertently punishing myself for not using that time wisely enough. I don't want to go into this worrying about whether I make it perfect for myself, for YouTube, for my friends that I show my work to. Instead, I know that it's good enough for me simply to paint and listen to my own mind and self-regulate and cut myself off when I feel that I'm getting too tired, because this painting, it's going to stay here. I can come back to this. I can keep working on this. And so that's what I happen to be doing today. Yesterday, I did some homework for Millie's class. I did some quick 5-minute head studies and then a longer 20-minute pose to really work on my skills in terms of capturing and understanding a likeness and getting it down on the page. And we'll see what tomorrow has in store. If you're interested in the kind of mentorship where you listen to your own psychology, you really create exercises that are based on encouraging you to get into the studio rather than burning yourself out, and you're really committed to reaching your big goals, I would love to hear from you. I have a link in the description to apply to see if we are a fit to work together. And if you would love to find out more about how this works and what it's all about, I also have a free masterclass that is linked in the description as well, where I walk through everything you need to know about how this all works and how I help artists break down their really big goals. All right, until next time, I hope you have a restful and energizing or even inspirational week. Happy painting.